Taking the ball.
Hi. I was wondering if someone could help me with a quick question I had.
Sure.
Do you have a minute?
Yes, just a second.
Okay.
Let me get someone here to help you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I just had a quick question about something. I was just wondering if someone could shed some light on it for me or something.
Okay.
Well, I was researching into like the website and some of the writings of the society because like some witnesses told me about it. They always,
like on jw.org?
Yeah, they always recommend to do that. So I tried it, So I saw in there that you have to obey the faithful and discreet slave to have God's approval. So I was kind of looking into that. So have you heard that saying too? Is that a common belief?
About the faithful and discreet
slave?
Yeah,
that you have to obey them to have God's approval.
Well, there's a lot of things that that's kind of a hard question to answer.
Well, it says it right there. I can give you the quotation. I mean, I'm just
on
saying.
The website?
Do you affirm that?
You mean on the website?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
okay.
Definitely affirm that.
Right. Okay. Well, get this. I mean, I was like reading over that passage a couple of times in Matthew 24, the parable of the faithful slave. And then I love reading the Bible, so I was reading in 1 Corinthians 4, and I noticed it was almost... Hello? Yeah, are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did I cut out or something?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was reading 1 Corinthians 4, and I noticed it was almost like a parallel passage in the wording that Paul uses. He uses almost all the words and ideas that are in that parable, Matthew 24, the faithful slave. Like he calls himself and the apostles like stewards and slaves, stewards and doulos, which is, slaves, and says they're entrusted with the mysteries of God, which sounds like meat in due season, and then that no one judges them except for the Lord when he returns. So I was like, wow, I mean, it made a lot of sense to me that, it kind of sounds like he was saying the apostles, like during that time, is kind of what Jesus was talking about. When you think about that they laid down the New Testament writings, it kind of makes sense.
Well, it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
This organization, since you're looking into it,
mm-hmm.
and definitely like you are, you'll find that organized very much in the same way that the first century Christian congregation was, and that was the case with the apostles. Like for instance, when the issue of circumcision came up, and it speaks of Paul being before and going to Jerusalem, being before the elders there. They were the ones that were taking care of really all of the congregations.
Although, how can that be a parallel since they did have the inspired apostles there at that time?
Well, you're the one who said about the parallel, and so I haven't, had the opportunity to think about it like you have on this phone call. So,
but did you ever notice that in that passage? It's really interesting. I mean, it uses almost the same words. It uses doulos, stewards. I don't think that I don't recall noticing that. Oh, okay. And it says that it is required of stewards that they be found faithful, like it uses that word in the parable,
certainly.
Faithful, and judged when the Lord comes. So I just think, it seems like no offense, but like to say it's like the governing body in New York, it seems like, I don't know where like that would come from, because even as they've defined who is the faithful slave, they've had about, 5 or so different identifications of who it even is. Like they used to say it was Russell, it was the anointed people. So it's very hard to see how they could make a claim like that.
That's definite. Well, here's something that's of interest, and perhaps you can think about it. And of course, here's the great thing, right, is that you have you have free will, right? We all have free will to believe and do whatever we want to do. And so that's a great thing. Right?
Yeah, it is,
so,
but I wasn't disputing that topic.
Right.
I don't know where you're coming from to say that. I'm not sure what it has to do.
So,
I'm asking for you to,
right.
kind of.
So here's the thing that that perhaps you can think of, because and I'm approaching it this way just from of my personal experience.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't raised one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that got me is when you recognize that the Christian congregation today has a purpose, and that purpose is actually part of a prophecy of the good news to be spread throughout all the inhabited earth as a witness. So who's doing that? See, that's a worldwide effort, and that's a tremendous effort. And it's an effort that's a unified effort because it's God's work, and He's not a God of disorder. A
God of disorder? Isn't that from that passage on speaking in tongues? I'm not sure how you're applying that. That's where that is.
No, it says He's not a God of disorder.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Could you give a reference on that about the disorder?
I can't. I don't
you're
recall
trying to
right.
say that just because some Christians have different views on peripheral things, that's disorder. I mean, even the New Testament, they talk about conflicts and different views and the weaker brother and, disputes and things like that. I mean, it doesn't seem to say they're not Christians because they disagree. Holidays, matters of the law. Could you give me a reference on the disorder, that God is not a God of disorder? I just want to look it up.
Where that scripture is?
Yeah.
I have to think about that in my mind.
Oh, okay.
Where's it at? In Corinthians? Hold on, I'm looking at the verse for you.
I could probably search it too.
Do you have a concordance, I mean?
Oh, yeah, I like the one at blueletterbible.com.
Yeah.
Because it uses a lot of different versions too. It's
try 1 Corinthians 14:33.
Okay.
Yeah. So the point is, with me mentioning that verse, is that for this work to be done in an organized way, there has to be some sort of an organization. So, if you think about it on that level, rather than just all these different people with all these different beliefs, does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, because when I read the early church writings up through AD 300. And I used to be write for a website to be a mystery worshiper. I find incredible unity in what the basics are. Like Paul said, I preach nothing among you but Christ, Christ, His person, and Him crucified, His work. So that was his emphasis, and he said he didn't really preach beyond that. And that's why, unity based on essentials of Christ and on love, and uniformity is kind of a different thing. You guys are 8 million, and if they say a different thing tomorrow, well, then you will all believe it. So that's a different thing than unity. We would call it uniformity, forced uniformity, So I think that's the difference.
That sounds like that. It just sounds like that, this is probably not something that you would be interested in.
Oh, I am. I'm interested in all kinds of theology and the Bible. And I was just noticing in 1 Corinthians 14, just a quick note on that contextually, in the context of what it's talking about, it's not talking about people having different views on minor issues as far as disorder. That seems how you're applying it in the context. It's talking about not allowing people to speak in tongues all at once, because that would be confusion and disorder. So I'm not sure what kind of, that you can apply that in whatever way you want, but we will understand it from the context of what the topic is there, So it might be interesting for you to look at and not apply that in in some just random way, you know.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you would like to discuss?
No, that's about it. But I hope you checked out 1 Corinthians 4 and just see how it uses all the same wording and phraseology and ideas that are in Matthew 24. I think it was really interesting. I had never noticed it before.
Okay.
Since you guys are into the Bible and stuff. So, hey, thanks for talking about this with me.
You're welcome.
Okay, God bless you.